Hello, 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 everybody. It is nice to see you. Welcome to a fun live conversation all about Atlassian Rovo. Devin, it's nice to see you. It is off to a nice start. Thank you. I do like that song. I like that song a lot, actually. It's just catchy. I don't know why it's so catchy, but like it's really catchy. Y'all, we are live, which means I would like to see you in the live chat, which also means I need to pop out this chat so I can see it better. Chat, get over here. You know, you get ready for these things and then you're like, oh, I forgot about the chat. I need that. There it is. I see you all. Wonderful. Hi, Ivan. Hey, Sarah. Sarah. Oh my goodness. The Sarah. Sarah, I have seen you on plenty of other Rovo related live streams. I appreciate having your expertise in the chat. Good morning from Kissimmee, Florida. Oh, Barb, I envy the humidity in your air right now. Hey, Jason from Austin. Hey, Chris Green. Hi, Brian Taylor. Hey, Mohan. Alan. Wow, it's wonderful to have you all here from so many places in the world. If y'all have any specific questions to me as we go through this, please drop it in the live chat. You can just use hashtag question and then like throw it in there. I'm going to try to keep an eye on all of this as we are going through, because I really want to hear from you. I really want to make this a conversation because, well, it's important that you know that I don't know what I'm doing. I shared a few thoughts on LinkedIn last week, if any of you caught that. Hi, Heike, and hi, Trisha. It's nice to see everybody here. I have built a career off being an expert on certain tools and processes and techniques. I'm sure you all have as well, right? You're good at the things you do. You're experts. But as it turns out, AI is tricky. And we don't get to be experts in the same way because it's constantly changing, and these large language models are unknown territory. They will continue to be because we got LLMs writing LLMs, y'all. We don't exactly know how they work, and we don't know how they're going to change. So I'm going to take off my expert hat. I love this thing. And I'm going to put on my experimenter hat. And I welcome you to do the same. Because we all are experts, but with AI, we have to be experimenters. And that can be okay, is what I tell myself when I'm starting to have a panic attack. So if you are there, welcome. It's a good time. We're going to breathe deeply, and we are going to begin. Speaking of, if you would, it would be awesome if you would hit that like button in YouTube. That signals that we got stuff going on. And algorithms do like those things. So please hit that like button. Maybe hit that subscribe button if you haven't yet, because we are dropping fantastic content around the Atlassian Team Collection and Rovo all the time. Got a really fun and helpful YouTube short coming out tomorrow, as it were. So hit that subscribe button, please, to learn along with us. So first and foremost, I don't want to bore you too much with what Rovo is. You may have used it. By the way, I'm using the Dia browser from Atlassian. If y'all have any like curiosity around Dia and exploring it, let me know. Drop it in the chat, because I'm Dia curious. I'll be honest. I actually really have been loving it. Some of the stuff that I've done with it in my personal browser is like really fantastic. It has actually helped me with work. I'll be real with the fact that I haven't used the AI piece of it too much. Trisha hasn't heard of it. Tushar wants to hear more. Trisha, it's DIA. It was made by the Browser Company of New York, which is now part of Atlassian. It's a very, very different approach to tab management, which is what I've been really, really loving. But yeah, if y'all want to hear more about it, I could do a whole live stream about what I have discovered. I'm a Dia experimenter. So throw it in the chat if you have interest in Dia. Okay, so Rovo. What is it? What is it not? The reports of what you can do with AI are greatly exaggerated, I will say. And this has actually led to a lot of personal struggle for me because I'm like, hey, I'm seeing these messages about agentic AI and all the things that it can do, and it can take actions, but why can't I get it to do the things that I keep imagining that it can do? And that's because what it's promised is not what it's capable of. And that's okay. This is a very rapidly developing technology, but those of us who are actually doing the stuff, we need to be honest with each other that it's not really able to do what we're promised. So we have to discover together, what can it actually do for us, and how can we build what we need to build? So I don't want to bore you too much with it, but one thing to know is Rovo is actually a collection of different features that use large language models. This is something that most organizations do. Microsoft has Copilot. It's very confusing for people that all of the things are called Rovo, because when someone's like, oh, use Rovo, it's like, but what does that mean? Really briefly, Rovo is a few things. Rovo is enhanced search across all Atlassian tools, a chat interface where you can chat like you would with a ChatGPT or a Gemini, like this. There is Studio, which we will look at briefly, which is an area where you can build some different things. Thank y'all for subscribing. Alendra and Pamela, it's nice to have you subscribe to the channel. You've made one of the best decisions of your life just now. And then finally, what we're going to talk about today are agents in particular, which is like creating a chat that can go do things. That's a very simplified description, but it's essentially you create prompts that show Rovo how to do a thing. Yes, I should comment. Yeah, thank you for pointing that out. Dia is only for macOS at the moment, but hopefully we will see that spread to other platforms. I'd love it to see it on iPadOS, not gonna lie. So some really cool things about Atlassian's AI that you're not gonna see elsewhere. First of all, it is connected to the teamwork graph. And if you're like, the teamwork, what in the what now? Like literally just all of the stuff that you've done across all of your Atlassian tools are all connected. It's all a bunch of databases that are strung together, which is super cool. It's much more complex than that. But the cool thing is all of the knowledge and the things you've made in all of the apps, teamwork graph. The other cool thing is you can connect outside tools. So if your team uses Google Workspace, you can search across your Google Docs as well, or your sheets or your slides. If you use SharePoint, you can connect SharePoint. If you use Office 365, you can connect those apps. So the cool thing is Rovo has a deep understanding of what you've been doing in the Atlassian tools and all of the others that you have connected, including Slack and Teams as well, which is very cool. I need to play around with that more, but you can actually search through things that people have sent in Slack from the search bar in your Atlassian tools, which is very, very cool. Look at all these sliding logos. I should have shown this. Figma, ooh, how nice. And then also there are some elements of using Rovo when you're creating things. We're not going to look at that today. We have looked at some of those in past live streams, like our most recent live stream about whiteboards and our most recent one about the Confluence editor. So if you want to really look at that, check it out. We're looking at agents today. We need to do more admin options to manage the teamwork graph. Yeah, Alex, I agree. Yeah, the teamwork graph is very like invisible, for sure. Tushar, you have a question about teamwork licensing. You can ask it, but I am not a licensing expert. Often I will go, so for every Atlassian product, they have a licensing page. That's where I would probably send you because you can get quotes on licensing and pricing right there. One thing that I will say about Rovo is if you are not paying for Confluence or Jira, if you're not paying for the Atlassian apps, you won't get Rovo. It is available with all paid plans, or you can just buy Rovo and not use the other Atlassian tools. That is also an option. You can connect it up to your things. So, y'all, there's a few things we need to talk about before we look at anything. And I apologize that you'll have to look at this for a moment and not jump into some AI goodness, but we need to set some expectations. And before we do that, I'm just going to remind you, if you have jumped onto the live stream, if you would hit that like button, that'd be super like groovy. That might bring more people in. That'd be awesome. God, y'all, thank you so much for subscribing. This is so nice to see. Trisha, stop. Come on. Well, I don't know if you look marvelous, but with that kind of attitude and the fact that you are #1 in the chat right now, we can assume. Okay. We need to change the way we think about AI. In particular, in this world where we're saying there's agents now. And AI, it isn't just about rewriting text or summarizing text or translating text or creating new text. Now, it can go do stuff because it's agents. Pew, 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 and there's a library of skills, so it can do things with your tools. Look, yes, agents are cool in concept, giving a large language model the ability to do things, but no, it cannot replace a human being doing their job. I think a lot of our expectations were set a few months ago as organizations started announcing like big layoffs, or we're not hiring any more people, and instead we're going to augment with AI. That's a cool concept, and as things are today, tools like Rovo can help us with some of those repetitive, again, text and word-based actions that teams are taking. But if the repetitive action is actually like going out and doing a thing, not so much. Not so much. It's not there yet, but we are experimenters. So we are starting to learn what it can do and what it can't do. And as it changes and grows, we will be on top of things. Sarah's been subscribed for a long time. Sarah, this is wonderful. It's so nice to be learning alongside you. Yeah, Devin said, the potential of Rovo is very exciting. Getting it set up is a challenge. Yeah, for sure, Devin. Another thing that we need to set our minds on is this is all about experimentation, frustration, iteration. Okay, if you follow some of Valerie Kaloun. Valerie, how do you say your last name? Maybe it's Kaloun. I'm not really sure. If you're following Rob Heen, they will talk about there are frameworks for how you can think about like building with AI. It always comes back to experimentation. Nobody lists frustration in any of these any of these frameworks, so I'm just going to put it in here because I think it's very real. If you haven't tried something with a prompt-based AI tool and at some point just been like, ugh, then you've never used a prompt-based AI tool. They can feel frustrating because they don't work the way we are used to things working. So, agents. The way we need to think about agents is it's not just a chat box where we go in and we type stuff in and it gives us a response. Yes, there is a part of Rovo that can do that, but that's not what agents are. Agents are intended to be actual members of the team. So imagine your team identifies, hey, we need a new skill that the team doesn't really have, or we need more capacity to do this thing, or truly, yes, we all can do this, and this, but if we added headcount, right, that would help us, we'll free people up to do the things they're really specialized on, and this collection of things we will have our agent do. So think about an agent like a role on your team or within your organization. That is the intention of what agents are supposed to do. All right, so that's how we need to think about an agent. It's and by the way, it's not a like Frankenstein's monster. We are animating a person, though it can feel like that. It's more of this is how we perceive what these are. We're not just using a tool or chatting and getting answers. The intention of agents is they are a new team member. Barb said, if you could explain to AI how and why to use software documentation without the documentation I write, it could take over my job of documenting software. Barb, you're safe. Because people who write documentation understand a little something called nuance. And that is really hard to build into an LLM. Part of being, writing good documentation is not just writing what you see, but understanding why does that matter? That's what people need in content. And that's why, if we just let AI write content about content another AI has written, that will be the slopification of the internet and our internal content as well. So you're good. We cannot replace Barb with AI. I stand on it. I'm staking my opinion right here. All right, so agents fill roles. This is pretty cool. So let's think about, okay, so if we have a team where we create a bunch of content, and we need to do a couple of levels of review there. So we need to do just grammar and spelling check, especially helpful, even if you speak and work in UK English, but turns out all of the content you put out needs to be in American English, which is super broken, by the way. We need somebody to do that. Another thing we might need this agent to do is copy editing and voice and tone. So this isn't just making sure things are written, syntactically correct, but that marketing who is defined. Do we talk about ourselves in the third person? Are there acronyms we use or don't use? These sorts of things. They would have a style guide as well as a voice, right? So are we a cool company or are we a very official company in how we talk? So that's called copy editing. And then finally, proofreading. So proofreading is when you look at the final content along with any imagery. You kind of look at it maybe on what it will look like on the blog or the website. Does this really look good? Does this present things well? Those are three different things. So we might want to hire a member of the team who can do these things, right? They would be kind of a proofreader type person, or they would be our language expert type person, right? You might also have, you could hire an event planner, right? And there are different types of things that an event planner needs to do, many of which are around communication, right? But they're working with speakers to set up sessions. They are working with sponsors to set up sponsorships. They're working with venues. These are all tasks that you need to do within a role. So when you're creating an agent, which is a role on the team, you also are creating scenarios, which are how do I handle these tasks? So when someone asks me to grammar and spell check something, what do I do? If somebody needs to do copy editing for voice and tone, what do I do? So we set each of those up as scenarios. That's what they are called. Now, real talk. If your manager, your leadership, whoever, comes to you and says, you need to, I know you want this headcount, but no. Or even, we need to reduce your headcount. You need to implement AI on your team so that you can be more efficient, right? Or you can handle this work. Cool. Fine. They have every right to say that. But if you're a hiring manager, you need an allotment of time to do the hiring work and to do the training work. And in that same way, this is how we need to think about agents. Because it's cool that we're experimenters and builders now, but it takes time, y'all. I sunk a whole Friday, 8 hours into trying to build an agent, writing prompts, rewriting prompts, adding skills. It never worked. It never did the thing I wanted it to do. And at the end, I was like, oh, I just wasted a whole day. I could have done this thing manually. This is, part of being a new technology. Things change. We've got to allot for this. So if our manager or our leaders are saying, okay, more AI, then we have every right to go back and say, cool, I need 4 hours a week where I can work with AI. I need 8 hours a week, whatever. And so this, somebody also mentioned testing is very important, not just like building and experimenting. You need this thing to be very well tested before you just like roll it out. We have a question here. Where did it go? How are agents treated with respect to security? Can you trust them in any space? So Tushar, to answer that question, Atlassian has a lot of great documentation on how security is handled with agents. So anytime you use Rovo, a prompt is sent to ChatGPT or their API. A response is generated, sent back. You read it, And then on the ChatGPT servers, that is deleted immediately. That's the intention anyway. And then the access that agents have to different contents, different things in the teamwork graph is all dependent on the person who is interacting with that agent. So if I say, hey, agent, proofread this page, if I just give it a link to a page I don't have access to, it's going to say, nah, dude, can't do that. So yeah, no, I can't use an agent to be like, please read me the contents of this restricted page. No. So if I can't click it and view it in Confluence or Jira or Loom, Rovo can't touch it either. So yeah, very good question. Very good security model around Rovo, which is pretty cool. And for those of you who are like maybe in government or really highly regulated industries, Atlassian is slowly rolling out of isolated cloud products where all of the things are completely isolated from other servers to give like ultimate security and lockdown there. Yeah, you're welcome. Okay, I've talked a lot about what we need to expect. I really want to emphasize, if someone tells you, oh, you're a builder now, you're an experimenter, we've given you Claude, we've given you Gemini, we've given you whatever. If they're like, now you're going to be more efficient, push back, okay? Push back and say, cool, I can experiment, I can learn, I can grow, I can automate, whatever. Give me time. Where is my time? And if leadership can't give you that, well, then they're not good leaders. I'm just going to say it. Woo, I'm just putting stakes in the ground all over the place. Leaders, if you are on this, nice to have you here. Make sure you aren't just throwing a tool at somebody and saying, there you go, you should be better now. Give them the time to explore. Because you should be giving yourself that time too, to learn how to use AI in your role. Devin asked, does that security model also apply to Rovo, the Rovo browser extension? I believe so, Devin. I'm not exactly sure. I haven't really used the browser extension more than just like looking at it. Yeah, really good question. I don't know for sure, but it should. Yes, it should, because I know that like Atlassians are using that browser extension. So they also care about data security. Okay, y'all, let's look at some beautiful things. So let's pop over to Maggie here. And Maggie is looking to hire one of those language experts. So Maggie's like, all right, let's try this agent thing. I have 4 hours a week from my leadership to explore, to experiment. So I'm going to do it. Remember that. There's 2 important things that you need. One is time to experiment. And I'll talk about what the second one is in a minute. So right here, I guess I'm looking at Confluence right now. I can come up to this menu. And in the apps menu, I see Studio. Now you might see other Rovo-y things, right? So here's the Rovo search app, which is going to give you the same experience as if you just use the search bar. Here's chat. So this is where you would chat with Rovo like you would with ChatGPT. You're also going to find that if you hit this Ask Rovo button. There's Rovo buttons all over the place. Here is Studio. This is the one that we want. Da-na-na. Okay, so Studio is a place where you can do kind of more powerful things. This is supposed to be the building area in the Atlassian tools. That said, it's not done. Like so many other things, this is being actively worked on. So there's huge pieces of functionality that Atlassian is going to be bringing to this that just don't exist yet, but they will. So we want to create an agent. So here we are in the agent world, and you can see I've created an agent here, which is super cool. And this agent is actually what we're going to build here today. So we have this as an example to look at, kind of like, those cooking shows, the cooking shows where they're like, all right, I've put the ingredients, now I'm going to put it into the oven. And they're like, oh my God, and here it is all done. That's my completed casserole here. So just so you know, because, watching somebody enter text into prompts for an hour, not incredibly interesting. I won't lie. It's not incredibly interesting. I'm not offended if you're like, oh God. So let's create an agent. And by the way, you'll see this option for a virtual service agent. This is if you are using Jira Service Management and you want to create an agent that interacts with the people in your JSM the services you're providing. That's not what we're here to create today. We're creating a Rovo agent. Now, we can start from the beginning, but if you just want to play around and see how an agent can be built, you could also hit this button to browse agents. There are a bunch that are created by Atlassian. And you can see sort of, they describe what they are. You can see why descriptions are very valuable, right? So you can see, oh, okay, what do these all do? Maybe you're like, okay, I do need help organizing my work, but I want to customize what this thingy does. You can hit here and say duplicate agent. And then you can go modify all the prompts and customize them. So this is a great place to start. But we're specifically looking at what are some really good best practices for creating agents. So that's why we're going to hit the create an agent button. And I got a couple of questions. PJ says, I created an agent to extract Jira reporting, and it worked for 2 months. And last month, it did not work. Could this be due to a backend change to the LLM? Yeah, like 1,000,000%, PJ. Yep. This is a challenge with LLMs. They change. If you were using ChatGPT 3 or 4, when you could have custom GPTs, some people have had relationships with these GPTs. That functionality was removed. The model changed, and that was devastating for some people. I'm not saying that we're going to see that amount of change here, but yeah, sometimes the logic can change because we don't have a window into the complete logic. So that's it's interesting. In the same way, though, if you hand a task to 4 different humans, unless they're very process-oriented, they're probably going to give you 4 different solutions. So these are a great thing to keep in mind when you're working with AI is these are great tools to co-create with, to co-decision make with, to co-report with, but we shouldn't just let them run loose because they do naughty things sometimes. There are so many stories in the news right now about that happening in different places. So yeah, if you're, a core part of your job is to extract Jira reporting, make sure you know how to do it manually, just in case. Yeah. Thank you for subscribing, Yudanka. It's nice to have you subscribe to the channel. If you have a headache, yeah, turn off the visuals, turn down my voice. I wish I could, make it a little less pitchy. I totally get it. Don't look at the screen right now. Kytra, don't do it. Save your eyes. All right, y'all, let's make an agent together. So here's the interface for creating agents. There's a whole bunch of stuff back here that is like, oh my God, what's happening? Don't worry about it. The first thing we want to do is implement the most, one of the most important things we can do when we are working with an AI, which is always be chatting. Always be chatting. This right here is actually a place where we can prompt to Rovo what we want to create. And you can see this here. Oh, I'm here to help you build a custom agent. Tell me what you'd like your agent to do. All right, and there's also some little descriptions here. Yes, you can go to the manual step and handwrite all of the things, but don't do that. Literally, one of our best practices is to prompt because, amazingly, Rovo and other models are very good at creating prompts for themselves. It's kind of like, I don't know if you've ever seen that image that was circulating in social media of like Obama putting a medal around his own neck. That is exactly what happens here. So it's very, very interesting. So I'm going to use text to speech, which I think is another really good best practice because I don't love typing. It's difficult for my brain. So I'm going to use voice to text here in the same way that some of us interact with Gemini and ChatGPT to simplify inputting this. So voice to text, come alive. There you are. Sometimes it takes a little minute to. All right, macOS, you're like super embarrassing me on a live stream. That's really cool. Actually, I'm so pleased that this is happening. All right, y'all. Voice to text it does not seem to be working. It didn't show up to the live stream. Oh, there it is. I want to create a Rovo agent that helps me review content. Yo, what are you doing? What are you doing? You were just doing the thing. We're going to try this one more time. Otherwise, you're going to watch me type. Sorry. I want to create an agent that helps me review the content my team creates. It needs to be proficient in American English, as well as different styles and tones that are successful for online readers of B2B content. It will need to be able to handle tasks like grammar and spell checks, copy editing for voice and tone, and proofreading of final pieces of content. Oh, cool. It stopped working. To handle grammar and spelling checks, copy editing in voice and tone, and proofreading of final content before it's published. In all interactions, I want this agent to give me feedback as to what has changed or what should be changed and why, so that anyone using the agent can learn from its expertise. Okay, so you probably, if you were watching these words get typed in, you're like, oh, there's so many spelling mistakes. It's cool. We're just going to see what happens. Yes, you probably should go fix those, but we're live right now. We're trying to do this as quickly as possible. But you can see that in plain English, I've described things. Some of the things that I've described is the context. Right? What is this going to need to do? Also, I've said you are proficient. I could have said you'd be an expert in American English. It's very important to tell it, like, what is the thing you need to be really good at to do this? If you're, creating an agent to give advice about something, say that. You are an expert business analyst or whatever. It helps it to understand what is the role you are filling here. And then I've described part of what it should do. If you, oh goodness, this is so messed up. Anyway, if you are looking for something to help with certain Jira work items, if you're like, hey, I want you to create Jira work items or update Jira work items, give it some work item IDs for it to look at. That helps it, giving it examples helps it to understand, okay, this is what success looks like. All right, I'm going to throw this in. I know this has so many mistakes, but we're just going to see what Rovo does, because we will always be chatting. While that's responding, let me look at my favorite friends here in the chat. Someone is missing the syntax highlighting in Studio. That would be really nice, Stefan. I have no idea if that is something they're planning to add. There's a whole parts of Rovo Studio that will, I think, change a lot of what we're doing right now, and they're still kind of like rolling that out. It's not ready yet, so the UI is changing a lot. Agents tend to hallucinate even with extremely strict instructions. Oh, any tips for that? Oh, Berta, that is a great question. The more context, the more examples, like really concrete examples we can give, the more limits we can give. These things can help with hallucination. A lot of hallucination occurs when we're like, you're a language expert. You're gonna make our pages great before we publish them. It might understand that, but like if you're like, you're a technical writer and you got to replace Barb. First of all, AI can't replace Barb. And second of all, that's just so vague. It's going to be like, well, okay, based on those 10 words, I'm going to make up a thing that I do and hope that helps. So the more verbose we can be, that's great. But sometimes it also will hallucinate if we're too specific. So if we say like, you're going, you are going to follow this process and this and this and this, that can also cause hallucination because it might get confused on step 3 of what you said. And then it's like, well, I'm just going to make it up beyond step 3. So that can also cause it. And then sometimes it'll just say, sometimes it will just say in the responses like, hey, I did a thing, and then it didn't. So those currently, they can't be helped. Yeah, also, you can try throwing in do not hallucinate or guess missing information. That's a good tip, Alex. Some models struggle with do not statements. I think that's been resolved for a majority, but like, yeah, that's a little bit tricky. Tushar, you have a question around, is that possible? I don't know what you are referring to. Yes, anyone here, we are recording all of this. You can come back to the same link anytime and see the recording. Yes, it will be recorded. Love the experimental approach. Dropping off. All right, we'll see you in the recording then. What kind of permissions are required to create agents? That is a great question, Natish. Your admin will need to turn this on. So, and they have the ability to turn on whether you can just use agents, whether you can create agents, and whether you can update agents, I think. But that's all on your organization admin. All right. Barb, I love your bosses for that. You are irreplaceable. Right here as well. Somebody wants to create an agent for automating user management for Jira. Oof. Like deactivating users and things. Oh God, that is a great one, Tushar. As Valerie pointed out in her really good recent live stream, currently Rovo only has access to about 30 to 40-ish%, roughly guesstimating, of all the stuff in all like the teamwork graph. So whether Rovo has access to that sort of thing, user management, I am skeptical. I'm not really sure. Sarah, no, I have not used Rovo with SharePoint. We just connected our Google Drive as part of our Google Workspace, so I haven't even gotten to play with that much. Also, we just connected Slack as well, so I haven't really been able to address it. Okay, back to building. So we have a response here from our from Rovo in helping us create this. So it's going to ask us to confirm things. Okay, so you're making an agent that reviews ticket content for grammar, spelling, and tone, specifically in American English. So already, I didn't specify pages, I guess. I don't know what ticket content is, so we'll have to correct that. It ensures the content is suitable and engaging for B2B online readers. Yes, correct. Proofreads final content, provides clear feedback on changes made. Okay, awesome. One change. It's going to review Confluence. Yeah, now you got to watch me type. Confluence, Pages, and Live Docs. All right, it's going to suggest a name for this. B2B content proofreader. Y'all, that's not a very exciting name, but does the chat have a suggestion for a better name for this agent? I'm going to give you like 10 seconds to throw that in. And also there's a little bit of a delay. Sarah, if you have a use case, if anybody has a use case for an agent you'd actually like to build, I should have said this earlier, please throw this in the chat, because what we would like to do at K15T is have a collection of agents that we try to make, see if they are possible, and then we use those as benchmarks. So every month I will come back, run through all the things I want the agents to do, and kind of create content and report to all of you what it's capable of, what it's not yet capable of, so that we can all learn together, right? And also, as was pointed out, I'll say if like, oh, hey, the model must have changed and now it can't do this thing. I will also report on that, because I really think that would be helpful. All right, I don't have any new ideas. So yes, that name works. All right. Yes, a name works. Let's see what it's doing. By the way, you may have noticed this is changing over here. This is giving us a summary of the agent it's creating. Here's instructions. It's written for itself based on our chat. Isn't this so cool? Could you clarify the desired tone and response style for the agent? Example, should it be formal, friendly, concise, detailed, supportive, or direct? Oh, goodness. I mean, all of those things. So I would say the tone should be serious, direct, and fun. That's actually the tone that we use at K15T. If you don't know about K15T's written content, by the way, if you go to k15t.com/learn, we have an incredible weekly dose of Confluence email. Every week, we send a different issue all about best practices around the Teamwork Collection. We need to update the name of this because it's the weekly dose of the Teamwork Collection and Rovo. The recent issue just hit this morning. It's really, really incredible, but definitely check out this images one. You can read old issues here on this page. And if you hit the subscribe button, you can subscribe right here with your email. We will never spam you. If we send you spam, I will send you a gift. Let me know. But everything we are learning about Confluence comes through every week. k15t.com/learn. Check that out. All right. Would you like me to adjust any of these? We are satisfied. I'm satisfied. Add a little explanation point there, just in case. Looking at the chat. Y'all are so active on here. I'm loving this. Have you used Rovo? Sorry, it's hard to keep track of all these. Is it possible to write an agent reading notes on Jira work items and generate a complete release note document on Confluence? Yes, Danielle, that is absolutely possible. I will show you how you can use skills to tell what the agent can do. You can point it at different sources of knowledge. And yeah, you could absolutely do just that. That would be incredible. In fact, that sounds like a really cool use case for us to make a video about or do a live stream about. Sarah has a customer information request project in SharePoint where they track requests such as customer names, type of request, whether or not it's recurring. Oh, this sounds fantastic, Sarah. Yeah, I would love to know how much of the content in SharePoint Rovo has access to. But yes, you could most likely create automations based on that. Okay, question on once we create the agent, how do we enable it? Let's take a look. Okay, excellent. Your agent profile is now ready with the requested settings. If you're happy with everything, clap your hands. All right, here it is. It has created some conversation starters. So that is when somebody's in Rovo chat and they're like, hey, I want to use this agent. It gives little suggestions on how can you get started. You can, at any time, if you're like, these don't make sense, you can type that in here and say, hey, change the conversation starter to this, this, and this. Currently, knowledge hasn't been selected. We will look at that. No action selected. We'll look at that. And then here are the instructions based on what we said. So I'm going to review our agent. We're getting close. We're getting close. All right, here it is. All that content. We can see what it does. Now, like I said, we've created a role right now, but, oh, I'm not sharing my screen for the love of Rovo. You are right. Thank you so much, chat. You keep me real here. You didn't miss anything. Here is the summary of our agent based on what we just prompted, including the conversation starters, which I can change at any time. The behavior, if we look at this, some of this has been written, right? So here's the description that will show up when people look at our agent. Here's the behavior. Describe the way your agent will behave in all scenarios. So that is like when you hire for personality fit, that's kind of what we're describing here. So how should this behave just in general? So let's show that right now. Let's see. Can I do voice to text? You are a plain speaking and non-critical teammate, period. While you are a language expert, you ask great questions to make sure you understand exactly what someone is looking for you to do, period. Whenever you respond to prompts, you are always looking to not only help, but teach as well, period. If you ever feel confused about something or need more clarity, comma, you always ask follow-up questions, period. You also don't make up content, period. All right, I'm just going with this basic behavior for now. This is something that we can test. So I have entered a behavior. There's a name. There's a description. We are so close. The final thing we need to look at is scenarios. So if I go back to the overview of my little thing, AI hallucination is crazy, Sarah. Couple of things we can look at. So scenarios. This is what are the tasks this thing does. So the default scenario here, this is already filled in, which is what we actually prompted for at the beginning, right? We said, this is just what you do in general. If somebody's like, hey, make this better, it roughly knows what it's supposed to do. No one should prompt it that way, but anyway. Now somebody had asked, how do I know that it's looking at the right stuff? Here is knowledge. So right now, this agent is set up, or this scenario is set up to look at everything. So everything across Jira and Confluence and SharePoint and everything, which like, I don't know if you've ever been in a job where someone is like, here's all the tools and we're not going to tell you where you need to look. It's all yours and you should know everything because you should. That's a terrible idea and we shouldn't do that. There are some instances, right, where something might need that. But we can help with hallucinations by reducing the knowledge it needs to be aware of. So if I go in here, this is great. So I can start to see which apps I can pull things in from. So if it's an agent that needs to really like help with support stuff, you could point it at your support docs. I'm going to point it at Confluence, and I want to select a space. So I'm going to say this. I'll just point it at this space right here, the good software space. So now it's limited the knowledge. So in this case, a really good space, or even pages, because you can also select certain pages or folders, would be looking at the marketing team's voice and tone guide. That would be great. Maybe another guide about like terminology that's specific to your industry, or pointed at like, here are some good examples of proofread articles. Make sure all of those are included, because limiting what it needs to know or where it needs to look helps in the long run. You can also point it at Jira spaces. So that's also helpful. You can also tell it to use no organizational knowledge. So I don't know exactly why you would do that, but that could be interesting if you're like, well, let's pretend you don't know anything. And if your admin has turned it on, your agent can also search public websites for knowledge. Be careful. That might be good for industry research. It might also go to a subreddit. So, keep that in mind. Then skills. Let's add some skills, and then I will look at the chat. Y'all are buzzing like bees, and it's so great. Okay, so we talked about, we've limited the knowledge. Now, this is where we can say, this is what my agent has access to. These are the tools it can touch and what it can do. So for example, I can go to Confluence and say, the agent can add a comment to a page. That might be a thing that I want my agent to do, or that it might need to do as part of this scenario. Looking at these other ones, create a folder, a database, copy a page, create a label, create a page, edit a page. Does need to be able to edit a page. So we're going to enable that. In general, there are so many of these. I'm going to also allow it to rename a page. There are so many skills here, and this collection is growing. So you can see all of the connected apps shown here. MCP servers is like your admins can connect y'all's custom systems in the company. And then, of course, here's the Atlassian apps that are currently supported. Don't just go through and enable all these skills. That will not help your agent be successful. Give it the skills it needs. Like when you hire a person, don't train them or give them access to things they don't need. Don't do it. All right, so you can see here's the skills for my scenario. So now we know, like, by default, here's what you should do, here's what you need to know, and here are your skills. Very much like, working with a person. All right, so we've created a default scenario. We're going to, oh my gosh, we're running out of time. We are going to create one more. But first, chat. What are you chatting about? Let's look. Yes, and by the way, Danielle, you would use those skills and that knowledge to create your agent that can look at work items in Jira and create release notes. Such a cool thing. I'd like an agent that can triage tickets for our service desk, round robin, and referencing a calendar of which agents are off that day. John, that is a brilliant idea. You might be dreaming, but I want to dream with you. So each of those things would be different tasks, right? Like, the agent can reviews the calendar and assigns tickets. These are things that we can try to build. I think this would be a cool video or live stream to explore this. But this might be asking too much, because one of the things that Rovo is not good at the moment is if you're like, hey, I need you to do this one thing every week on Monday at 8 a.m. I have not had success with that. You can still create automations, which are another part of Studio, another feature there. And those you can set that sort of thing up manually, but agents don't seem to be able to create automations themselves. So you can kind of put stuff together, but Rovo isn't building it just from this UI. Not yet, anyway. It'd be nice to have an agent that suggests test case scenarios. Oh my God, that's such a good idea. Yeah, so an agent, and you could like point the agent at the Jira project for maybe the product that you're coding, and maybe even to the Bitbucket repository, and then say, hey, honey, generate some random test scenarios, or generate a set of test scenarios that I should run through before we release. Such a good idea. Check the work log, time spent, original estimates. Very, very cool. An agent to receive Outlook email. Oh, this is such a good one. Oh my goodness. An agent to receive Outlook invites for a meeting, and then create a Jira work item for tracking the meeting and updating after the status of the meeting. That feels rather doable. I think right now there are only skills for Gmail, but I would not be surprised if Outlook is added at some point in the future. This is very, very interesting. Another thing I would suggest is also, if y'all use Loom, which you should, oh my gosh, check out our live streams about Loom, and the one about Loom for meetings. The meeting note taker is incredible, so you could get the email, create the meeting on everybody's calendars, add the Loom note taker to the meeting. The Loom note taker joins the meeting, records the meeting, transcribes the meeting, creates meeting notes. You can then link the meeting notes to the Jira work item, log some time in the Jira work item, close the work item. That is very doable. Such a cool use case. Very, very cool. Anything else? Oh, y'all have such good ideas. Such a good question from Berta. No, Rovo cannot read images at this point. That would be really great. That is a different technology. That's called OCR. Optical character recognition. Wow, look at me. And then for actual like images, pictures, that's slightly different variant. No, it cannot do that yet. So great point. If you're pointing to knowledge, work items or content items in Confluence that are full of images, Rovo doesn't understand them yet. They haven't implemented that part of Rovo. Can we use pages in Confluence? Oh goodness, where did it go? For an agent example, can we use a communication style guide in Confluence explaining the writing? Yes, absolutely. That would be, Heike, that would be pointing to knowledge. So I would have those things in a space, and then you can point to those things. And in your instructions, you can very specifically say, use this. Oh my goodness, so many great things. Y'all, I'm going to take a break from the chat because this is so good, but we need to make another scenario just so you can see what these do. So we have our default scenario that we created. Let's add another scenario. And by the way, I haven't forgotten. We haven't activated it yet. Okay, I haven't forgotten. Okay, so this is a weird thing with the UI here. I said always be chatting. Where are my chats? We built our default scenario just using a chat interface. Why not here? Kind of strange. So I am going to create one for grammar and spelling. Let's call this grammar and spelling. And wow, you can tell that my grammar and spelling are not very good. And I'm cool with that. I own it. All right, so a trigger. Describe the situation that should trigger this scenario. Okay, so this is when someone is talking to this agent. Specifically, what should make this agent be like, oh, now I need to do this scenario. I need to work this task. And we are not going to manually type this because best practice is to ask Rovo. So here we go. I'm creating an agent and I need to write a trigger for a scenario, period. For this trigger, I want the agent to respond when someone asks for grammar and spelling help and provides the link to a Confluence page or live doc. All right, and now this separate little Rovo chat is going to help us out. So it spits out a whole bunch of stuff. And I always look through to find where's the trigger that makes sense to me. And this is giving examples. This is really nice. I grabbed some or all of this kind. Oh, I forgot. I grabbed some or all of this content. So I'm going to grab, where did that go? This right here. Perfect. Here's a little trigger. Instructions, describe the agent's role and what it should do in this scenario. Okay, so I'm going to come over to my chat and say, now I need to write the instructions for my Jira agent scenario for grammar and spelling. Create instructions that tell the agent to apply best practices for American English and spelling. In general, I want you to avoid using the M dash because those aren't in vogue. Catching up. Okay. In general. All right. I'll leave out the part of the end dash, but yes, that can be a good way to make it think like things weren't created with AI. All right. So again, I'm going to prompt this in. Rovo is thinking. Rovo knows what an agent scenario instruction is, and so it's going to spit this out. So here are instructions right here. I'm going to grab these instructions. By the way, if you want to use a certain mental model for how instructions are written, I know there's different AI experts that say like, oh, use this model. You can say that to Rovo. Rovo knows what those models are, so it's going to spit out instructions in that way. I'm not saying these are best practice instructions. And then finally, I can pick custom knowledge. In this case, I wanted to use all organizational knowledge because it doesn't really need knowledge necessarily. This might also be an interesting time to tell it to do web searches. Additionally, if your admin has turned it on, it could also do deep research. So if it's like a task that really requires a lot more thinking or computing or mathematics or reasoning-ish, fake reasoning, turn that on and see what happens. Just know that might impact y'all's usage limits differently or more. And then skills. I'm not going to add skills here because we're running out of time, but there might be some important skills here. So I have added a default scenario and another scenario. Now, I would want to create a scenario for copy editing and also one for proofreading. So we've created our agent. If we look, here's all the information on the agent. We know what it's going to do. We know the knowledge that it's pulling from. We know the skills that it will use. We can see the scenarios it supports. I need to enable this scenario. I forgot. And here we are. I can activate it. Boom, activate. Rovo agent, activate. Go for it, y'all. Oh, Siri's talking to me right now. No. And here we are. We have created our agent. This is super cool. And now we can open this test box here and have a chat with Rovo. You can see it's using our agent. Here are those instructions that we gave it, and we can start chatting. And then we can modify all these things to change things. Now, I mentioned at the beginning of this live stream, there's two important things you need to do when you're thinking about making Rovo agents. One, make sure your leadership are giving you time to explore. If they are not, then they're not serious about AI. Make sure they give you time. Second of all, another thing that helps with preventing hallucination is make sure the content you are looking at is not garbage. Okay? K15T, we specialize in making apps for Confluence that help people write really proficient documentation content and publish it to the web or beautiful PDFs. Super cool. We have talked to people for years, for a decade and a half, who are like, hey, I love that you're passionate about like correct content in Confluence or accurate work items, but my leaders don't care. Why don't they care? I don't know. Now, AI has brought to attention to leaders like, hey, whoa, we could pull from all of our old knowledge and like answer questions and help with decision making. This is great. Cool. We're going to buy AI tools. But if AI tools are summarizing garbage, that's like throwing money away. The problem still stands. You've got to clean up your content. It has to be accurate, or Rovo is going to like spit out some kind of very well written, inaccurate information. It's not Rovo's fault. It's just looking at what you all have thrown at it and summarizing. So make sure you're not pointing to work items that are completely false, or confluence pages that say that a project was completed on a different date than when it was. So garbage in, garbage out, folks. So if your leadership is like, AI it, make it be fixed, you should say, I need time to explore. And also, if you want it to work well, we need to invest in cleaning up our content, which you can probably create Rovo agents to help with that. I have a few ideas. I will explore those at another time. Y'all, we are already over time, and I see so many questions in the chat. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to wrap this live stream, and then I'll go through your questions. It's going to go long. If you want to stay and hear all of the thoughts, you are welcome to. But before I do, to wrap, there's this video with this guy who looks very, very concerned. It's on K15T's YouTube. If you hit that subscribe button, you're going to get notifications when we drop great content. This is a 14-minute video full of many of the Rovo best practices we talked about today. But there is so much more on our channel, including shorts that we drop all the time with Confluence news, Confluence best practices, all manner of things. You can see recordings of all of our past live streams, many of which include Atlassian, or folks from Atlassian, as well as many tutorials. Check it all out. Subscribe there. Follow along with us. Also, I think I mentioned this before, but if you go to k15t.com/learn, there is tons of written content, article versions of all the best practices for doing things in Confluence, as well as our weekly newsletter where you can learn so many best practices around the Teamwork Collection. Hit that big, beautiful subscribe button. Put your email in there. We will not spam you. Again, stick around if you want to see me answer. Y'all, I didn't show my screen for any of this. I'm so sorry. Stick around if you want to see me answer the rest of the questions. Otherwise, please subscribe to the newsletter. Subscribe on our YouTube channel. Check out another video or article, and join us as we continue to explore how to use Confluence to share what you do best. Thank you. And for those of you sticking around, let's answer some questions because this is so excellent. Okay. We got a subscription. Destin referred to Jeeves. Yeah, sometimes Rovo feels like that. And sometimes Rovo's like, oh, Rovo, you need a day off. You're hallucinating again. Go lay down. Go to the fainting couch. I'd like an agent that can triage tickets. Oh no, I'm sorry. We've already seen this. Yes. It would really help for Rovo to be able to read images. Yes, I agree. I've heard rumors that they're working on this. I've heard it. I'm working on an agent to help build Jira stories based on data I feed it. Yeah, Destin, that sounds awesome. Actually, I think if anyone is looking to do something like that, this RoboChat is so big. I think there is already an agent that is provided. Look there's our agents that we made. I'm so proud of us. I believe there is a Jira one. Work item. There's a release notes drafter, by the way, for whoever was asking about the release notes. Check out that agent. Maybe that's exactly what you need. Maybe you modify it by duplicating this agent. Change up the prompts. Very cool. There's a work item planner. So this might be helpful. Yes, definitely a great use case of like, hey, we're planning these product features, or here's a bunch of interviews with users, suggest user stories I should write, put them on a Confluence page, create work items. So good. Another place you might do that, Destin, is on a Confluence whiteboard. Draft a bunch of ideas and then be like, hey, create work items that describe these things. And, go check out here's the code repository. Here's all the work items we've worked on so far. Give it all that context. Might be really fantastic. Telling the AI to ask questions when it needs clarifications is huge, Devin says. Coworker taught me to do this a few months back, and it's been a game changer. Yeah, because just like all the rest of us, Rovo is going to fake it until it makes it. I don't know if you've ever seen the American show The Office, but there's an episode where a manager asks for a rundown. And instead of being like, what's a rundown or what format, the character Jim just spends his entire day trying to understand what a rundown is. Your agent is going to do the same thing because it is there to please, but it sometimes doesn't know how, so it just makes stuff up. Can we get these scripts you use, having examples to reverse engineer or duplicate is very useful. Destin, that is a great point. That's part of what I want to do with some of these benchmarks type testing that I want to do is have those available for everybody. So I can say like, here's the prompts we've used to build the agents we have. Here's what they can do. Here's what they can't. I'm really hoping to get that all into your hands eventually. But there's nothing I've created that is novel. Devin wants to see the agent work. Yeah, okay. Let's do that. That's a good idea. I'm going to go to Confluence. And I'm going to go to this project planning page. No, okay, this is kind of weird. I'm going to go to this blog. This is an older blog, but this is a good example of like some written content. I'm going to grab the link for this. And I don't even need to grab a link. I'm going to talk to Rovo here. Rovo, how do I add an agent here? Here we go. Sorry. These change a bit. Here's all the agents. So I want to use the B2B content proofreader that we have not tested at all. So I cannot highly recommend this because I don't know what it's about to do, but we're going to find out. So I'm going to say, do a spelling and grammar check on this page. And remember, this is the only like unique scenario we've programmed. I would have it do like proofreading if we had the other things, but we don't. So here it goes. Analyzing, doing the thing. Let's see if it's really so friendly and like going to teach us stuff. Here's a spelling and grammar check for the page. The new normal. I've silently corrected errors and improved clarity while preserving the original meaning. And here it is. Oh, this is very cool. So it's showing the text specifically that it is corrected. I'm looking for it. I don't know exactly where it is on the page. This is very cool. It's showing what it has corrected. Here's the original. Oh my goodness, these chairs are so good. I have one of these. It's excellent. Okay, this is very cool. So from this output, I would go in and change the prompt and say like, hey, maybe give me like 3 bullet points stating what are some things I could improve about my English language syntax, because it is showing what it changed, but it isn't really doing that teaching that I asked it to do. But this is very cool. And then I should be able to, I don't really want to do this because I don't want it changing this content, but I should be able to say, okay, apply those changes. And it should rewrite the page. Oh, I would have to be in edit mode. That's why it can't do that, but it should be able to as well. Okay, very cool. We've tested the thing. Y'all, I wasn't even showing my screen this whole time. I had one job. I'm so sorry. Let me see if I can pull up Rovo again, and you can see. You can see this. Okay, yeah. So here, I'm so sorry. Here is the chat. Luckily, Rovo remembers things because I don't. Here it is. Yep. Here's my prompt. Check it out. And yeah, so it's showing me original, correction, original, correction. And if I was in edit mode, I could say, yeah, cool. Apply these changes. And here you can see the context. So it's saying, yep, I worked with this blog that you gave me. How cool. Very, very cool. Okay. So sorry for not sharing my screen. I forget y'all aren't in the room with me. I can feel you here, but you're not actually. Let's see. I don't want to get into calendar and sync with, calendar and sync with Outlook. That would be really, really cool, but I don't know that it's available yet. I don't think there is an Outlook connector, but there might be tomorrow. So don't take my word for it. Go Google it, or yes, go Google it. Don't, yeah. Someone added an amazing partner add-on called SARJ that accommodates smart assignments. Interesting. We tried to implement a ticket allocation for the last 6 months. Huge ask of Rovo in general. Yeah, yep, yes. Sometimes big things are also difficult because it can only operate in so much context, which is a complicated LLM thing. Annoyed that edit only really appends to the bottom of Confluence pages. Yes, Destin. Yes, you can tell a Rovo agent to edit a page. At the moment, it can't skim through the content and add something where you feel like it should be. It just drops it at the bottom of the page. I'm hoping they improve that. It didn't used to be able to even edit a page. So yeah, good point. I have 157 agents globally with different skills and schedules. The agent consistently and without logic assigns tickets to agents. Oh God, that sounds messy. But yeah, that's administering all the agents is something they're working on improving as well. Because for an administrator, it can be like, oh my goodness, someone has created all these agents. What is doing what? I believe there's an admin UI they're working on to help with that. Can we point an agent knowledge only to Jira? Absolutely. You need a ring for activating your Rovo powers. Sarah, I don't deserve my ring yet. Not yet. Someday, maybe. Someday, maybe. Refer the agent to your past work so it even sounds like you. Oh, Trisha, this is a great idea. Yes, another thing you could do is if you want it, and I've done this before, if I want something to write something in Matt's style, I could create a confluence space or point an agent to a place where a bunch of things that I've written that I really like are there, and I could say, hey, go write this new thing for me in Matt's style, and it will do that. It's very cool. Barb's going to RovoCon in Orlando in a couple of weeks. Ooh. Okay. Barb, I want to hear more about what you build there. That sounds fantastic. Can Rovo agents provide analysis of articles, article views on JSM portal? Lisa, I don't know exactly what Rovo has access to in JSM. Analytics like that? Oh, man, I don't know. I think it has access to analytics in Confluence, but I'm not sure about JSM. Valerie is probably more of an expert on that than I am. You can check out Valerie on her website, which is unifiedaiadoption.com. Also, Valerie's super active on the Atlassian community. She might know more, most definitely. Anka asked, you say Google it. What's the future? Do you say go ask your agent? So I would say not at the moment. Another stake in the ground, but the way AI tech is being built by these providers, these builders of large language models, is not ethical. It is not sustainable. It is not appropriate. If you are in a small community where someone is pitching to you to build a gigantic data center, speak to your representatives. No. The answer is no. This is technology that is consuming far too much power and water. This is not the way infrastructure should be built. The internet, for example, the original technologies there were built on limitations, using existing tech, existing facilities, and then it slowly built out from there as more capacity was needed. The way these companies are playing with fake money and potentially destroying communities' water sources and power sources is not appropriate. It is not ethical, and this is not the way we build a world where everyone has a happy time. So you should Google it unless you need something novel, unless you need some sort of reasoning, because every time you go to that chatbot and you ask a thing, that's somebody's water and power. That is affecting people's livelihoods. So don't go ask your agent until something responsible is done with this technology. This always happens. This happened fairly recently with, if you remember the blockchain, blockchain tech, the one, Ethereum used to consume a ton of power when it was mining for Ether. That's their cryptocurrency. And the community came together and optimized it to work on a different algorithm that consumed much less power because they realized, look, we can't be burning up our resources to make digital things. That's not appropriate. That's not how humans care for each other. So no, don't go ask your agent if you're doing something that already exists online. Because it turns out the agents, they're just looking at Google too. They're just looking at Reddit. They're just looking at whatever. So no, go Google it, do the work. Use agents, use your chatbot for help with reasoning, summarizing, transforming things, and like taking actions in the situations we can. So stake in the ground. Don't ask your agent unless you need something special. Somebody asked, Destin asked, can you replace the default ask Rovo? So this thing, like ask Rovo here with something else, like say like always throw people at our custom agent. No, I don't believe so. I don't believe so, Destin. For a lot of reasons, I think it will probably stay as chat with Rovo, or ask Rovo. And I mean, there's a big Rovo button here, which gives it the context of the thing you're looking at. So no, I don't believe so. Anything else? Y'all have so many good things here. I think we're at the end. I'm so glad I got to throw a little bit of ethical stuff in here for the two of you that are still watching. Y'all, it has been an absolute pleasure. I hope you can see that I am not by any means the expert. You might not be the expert as well, but it turns out no one is, which is great. It's sort of a great equalizer, and also it's a very difficult problem to solve. So if people you are working with, people who are above you, whomever is saying, you're a builder, optimize it, do more, you have every right, and you absolutely should come back to them and say, I need scheduled time, and I need our content, our systems to be cleaned up so that it is reliable. And I will do my part to continue to be an experimenter with you. Please do subscribe to our YouTube channel. Go to k15t.com/learn. Hit that subscribe button to follow along with all of our learning around the Teamwork Collection, and join us for another live stream as we continue to explore how to use Confluence and the Teamwork Collection and Rovo to do what you do best. Bye.